So I did something the other day that I never thought I'd do. I sat down and I watched Beastars. Now look, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I avoided this show for some pretty obvious reasons. First being the fact that the art is all done in this 3D style, and secondly, come on guys, you guys know the other reason why I avoided watching this show, right? But I'm gonna be real with you guys, being stuck inside the house all day long because of all this coronavirus mess makes you do some pretty crazy things. So one late night, bored on Netflix, I decided to give the first episode a try, and 6 hours later, I was done with the show. Fun fact, I'm pretty sure that this is the first anime that I've actually binged from start to finish since probably high school, and damn, was it worth it. It just kind of reminds me that I really do miss that feeling of getting completely lost in a creator's world. Also, surprisingly enough, I actually watched this anime dub. I know usually me, I prioritize sub over everything else, but the dub actors were really good for this anime. So much so that I actually kind of preferred them over the sub actors, hence why I watched the whole show dubbed. So today, I just kind of want to take the time to talk about my experience with Beastars and why it surprised me in so many ways. So first, a quick synopsis of Beastars, because this is probably one of the first videos I've made where most of the people watching it probably haven't actually watched this show yet. The show follows Legoshi, a gray wolf character who attends a high school with both carnivores and herbivores. Legoshi obviously being a carnivore himself. Legoshi is part of the drama club where his main role is building sets and operating lights for school plays. Soon he meets Haru, a dwarf rabbit from the gardening club, and falls in love. He thinks. We'll talk more about that later. The big conflict of the show is that a student is devoured at the beginning of the anime. In other words, a carnivore hunted down and ate another herbivore, which is basically the biggest taboo in their culture. So a lot of the show's focus is on the tension between the carnivores and the herbivores. So I'm sure with that synopsis you may be drawing a lot of commonalities between Zootopia and Beastars. However, the big difference here is that Zootopia is like an allegory for race, whereas Beastars is not. Beastars' tension between carnivores and herbivores is very literal and basically explores the idea of nature versus nurture, in particular with our protagonist Legoshi, a character who was bullied all of his life for being a carnivore. So from a nurture perspective, he's quiet, doesn't talk much, and generally friendly. As a matter of fact, we usually see him getting along better with his herbivore friends than his carnivore friends. However, nature plays a big role in this anime. At the beginning of the anime, we see Legoshi lose control and almost devour a herbivore. Luckily, he stops himself, but it's there to show how much these characters are controlled by their nature. Enter in Louis. Louis is probably the most crucial character to this anime. He is like this wrecking ball who sees nature as superior. He pretty regularly taunts Legoshi, saying that Legoshi's reserved personality isn't befitting a carnivore. By the way, Louis is a herbivore himself, so it's great that this character who wants to pull out the darker sides of everyone's nature isn't really on the right side of that argument himself. Louis is nuts, guys, that's basically what I'm trying to say. He goes to some pretty ridiculous points to prove his way of thought. I mean, one particular example comes to mind, but I can't exactly say it because that's a huge spoiler to the show, so if you want to know, just go watch the show yourself. So one of the cool interactions that I absolutely love about this anime is the relationship between Legoshi and Haru. Well, one second, I do actually want to talk about Haru for a bit because I actually haven't talked about her yet in this video. She is absolutely not what I was expecting from her character design. You think a white bunny would represent this pure, kind, and almost angelic character? However, that's not really the case. Haru is actually surprisingly unusual. She's quick-witted, gets bullied a lot, sleeps around a lot, and is overall a surprisingly down-to-earth character. Hence why I think her and Legoshi are surprisingly perfect for each other. They are, in some way, foil characters to each other. Nature and nurture-wise, they are complete opposites. She's a herbivore while he's a carnivore. And he's a quiet and reserved type while she's a in-your-face and loudmouth type. So their relationship is a pretty unusual one as Legoshi quickly becomes obsessed with her. But one of the big questions that Legoshi is trying to figure out is he in love with her? Or does he just want to consume her? This is kind of the big question of the entire anime, After all, the herbivore he almost devoured at the beginning of the anime was none other than Haru. The anime really swings back and forth with this question. It hasn't really given a solid answer yet, because every time the show begins to settle on an answer to this question, something happens that kind of uproots everything and throws it back up into the air. Look, I'm gonna be real with you guys. Beastars is a damn good anime. I was not expecting something like this. Low-key, I thought it was going to be like a theater kids club anime, but it is absolutely not. Hell, I mean, the main character of the anime hardly has any parts in any of the plays. What it is, though, is a pretty fantastic world-building anime. You know what it kind of reminds me of? A more well thought out BNA. I mean, I know BNA technically came out after Beastars, but I watched them in the opposite order, so that's why I'm thinking that way. The world design of Beastars is super engaging. In each episode, I find myself desperately wanting to go on to the next one. Hell, even after the final episode, the first thing I looked up was Beastars Season 2 when. I don't even know when. They said there will be a Season 2, but they haven't said when or where. And of course, the show's main focus on the three characters of Legoshi, Haru, and Louis are fantastic. All three of them are in this weird love triangle together and force each other to grow as characters. Whether that is to let nature take over sometimes, learn to depend on others, or even realize that predators can die. It's such an interesting and complicated world that each of the characters are doing their best to fight against, and oh god, it's just so freaking good, it hurts, man. I mean, I even made a joke that, oh god, no, now I'm gonna be one of those guys who's gonna defend Beastars. Look, it's a pretty weird show, that much is obvious from the first episode. But it's good, probably really good, and it's one of those few anime that I do kind of feel comfortable recommending to everyone. So go watch Beastars and release your inner furry. Hey guys, thank you for watching. Also, a quick heads up, I'm actually streaming on Twitch right now if you're watching this video as it comes out live. I've been trying to stream more games, mostly I've been playing League of Legends, but I've been playing a lot of other weeb games. So jump over to Twitch and follow me if you like to watch live streams of games, or if you have any other suggestions, let me know. Also, feel free to support me on Patreon. Times are really tough right now because YouTube ad rates are they're just awful. Oh my god, they are like the worst I have ever seen them. Screw this coronavirus mess, seriously. A huge thing to my patrons, you guys are my heroes. Please make sure you guys share, like, comment, and subscribe. This is Manime Matt. Make sure you guys stay man and go watch that goddamned anime.